Hi, welcome to the second version edition of the screencast. Now we will clone the repository to our computer, we will do some change, and we will do a pull request to the central repository for review of the developers. So now you should be logged in on your GitHub account, have Git installed, and now I will go to my repository, and what you will have to do is copy this URL and on your computer do git clone and that URL. It will grab all the code. What we will do today, we will use a tool called plint. This is a tool that helps you to find errors, warnings, and it helps you improve your code quality. What it's based on, of course, finding errors on the compiler, but the coding warnings and the conventions are mainly from this document, Google for PEP 8. You should read this. It says how the code is written in a good way in Python. We follow this for our project, so you should too. It's like the standard Python conventions for almost every project, so you should read it. And of course, if you don't follow it, plint will make you follow it, so that will be easy. Still cloning, a slow internet connection. The package is, I don't know how it's called in every distribution. Search on your package manager for something like plint, but it should be plint. Yeah, plint. And it's used, you write plint and the name of the file, and it will display some information regarding the errors, warnings, or not just errors and warnings, but just if you are not following the PEP 8 or some coding conventions on Python, you will get warnings for those. So now we we clone the repository. We are now on Emesene. On the base directory we have a lot of stuff, mainly for packaging, licenses, files required for distributions, the documentation, Windows specific files. What we want to do is go to the Emesene directory. So now we are emesene/emesene, and here is the main source code. I will do a fast look up on the code structure, so you know what's in there. Well, the directory data has data, of course, mainly static files like icons for Emesene in every possible resolution, files for executables, icons in different formats. Then on the root we have the main files, the files that start almost every other stuff. We have something called E3. E3 is a library that is an abstraction that allows us to treat every messaging protocol as the same. It provides some base objects and APIs that allows the UI to talk the same language, as we may say, no matter what messaging protocol are we using. So it has a lot of stuff inside. I think this will be like the last stuff you will be touching, mainly because it's kind of stable now, and mainly because it's low level and it may be easier for you to start working on the UI or UI related code. But E3 has some subfolders. Base are modules that will be used or extended by other implementations, like for protocol specific code. Then we have cache, that is modules to handle cache, for example for avatar, for emoticons and stuff like that. Common is common code used for in all the implementations. And then we have, for each protocol we have one directory. The simplest one is dummy. It's a dummy protocol implementation. It basically doesn't connect to any messaging, but it's used for by us to test stuff on MSN without connecting to a protocol, so we are not like bothering all our contacts going online and offline. Some Hotmail specific code. Then Jabber specific code it's a bridge from E3 to a library that is called XMPPPY. It adapts that library to how E3 handles stuff. This is used by Gtalk and Facebook and any other Jabber chat system, because Gtalk and Facebook use Jabber. And then it comes MSN. This is an old implementation, not old in time, but it was the first one I implemented. But now, if you want, it's easier to understand than the one we use now. And it used like E3 for everything, so it will be easy if you want to see how you can implement a library to handle MSN. And the other one is PuppyLib, that it's a bridge between E3 and Papillon, a library developed by Collabora, I think, to connect to MSN. So this is just a bridge with the library. It adapts all the data structures and protocols and APIs from PuppyLib to Papillon to E3. This is the one that is used by default right now. This sync is a module to synchronize MSN1 history with MSN2 history. Then we have the MSN file. That it's just a wrapper that runs MSN, and it sets a nice process name. Then MSN.p, that's the main file, the file that loads all the other stuff and runs MSN. Then extension.py, it's the main module we use to load extensions. As you may know, MSN2 is based on extensions. Basically, each part of the UI is an extension that implements an API, and if you don't like some part, or if you can replace it with another one that implements the same API. The main examples for this, the ones that have more than one implementations, are the output of the chat window. Like you can have a GTK basic output, or you can have a WebKit enabled one. Depending on if you have WebKit installed, it will choose WebKit. And if not, it will fall back to GTK. But you can also go back and forth between one and the other if you like simplicity, or you want to use less RAM. Then on the GUI or GUI folder, we have all the UI related code. Since MSN2 is based on extensions, you can change the UI. Right now we have one fully working implementation of the UI done in GTK, but there's an experimental Qt UI that it's been developed. If you want to help with that, you're welcome, more than welcome. And here under this folder we have base, that it's our modules and classes that are used by the other by all the other implementations. Some of them are complete, some of them you have to specialize with toolkit dependent code. Then we have common, that is code that can be shared between multiple front ends, like mainly notification stuff and try icon stuff, because you may have like running the Qt front end in the Unity and you want the GTK notification or something like that. And the GTK UI is the implementation of the UI in GTK, a lot of classes, mainly one module for each like component. Then you have here, as you can see, the Qt UI. This is more experimental, but if you want to help, it will be great to have it on par with the GTK UI. Then some stuff we don't use a lot. Then the plugin code, like the base classes and stuff to handle plugins, the manager of plugins, then the folder with the plugins. In this repository, the plugins are empty. We have all the plugins here. Let's see if no. We store the plugins on another repository. As you can see, we have Emesene support plugins. Those are the plugins that we will keep up if we change something on Emesene and the plugins break, we will fix them. And Emesene community themes are Emesene. Let me see. Community plugins are the plugins developed by the community. We centralize them, but the community should handle them. Or, for example, if some new plugin it's like experimental or not too tested, it will go first to Emesene community plugins, and if it's really useful and it's well maintained, it can go to Emesene supported plugins. One thing, plugins from Emesene 1 don't work on Emesene 2, but we have some plugins right now for Emesene 2. You can go there and check the source code to see how to implement them. If you want, it's a good way to start doing a plugin. You can start with a simple one and then move to more advanced stuff. Then we have all the translations. A lot of them help us. If you see that your language is not fully supported, go to Launchpad and help us have it up to date. Then we have some tests. I tend to write unit tests, the other users don't. A good way to help too will be to improve the test coverage. You will learn a lot by testing stuff and finding bugs that way. Then we have the themes. A lot of static files there. More files, and nothing more. The first thing we may want to do is try to fix some small things until we feel comfortable. So, for example, let's fix some GTK UI related stuff. For example, I want to fix something on the login.py file. I run pylint login.py pipe less because it gives a lot of output. And as you can see, we have a lot of stuff to fix. The first letter says if it's a warning, if it's like a coding convention thing, if it's an error. Some of the errors are not actually errors. For example, all those undefined variable underscore are because of the internationalization stuff. Some of them are not required, like unused argument. We have to have them anyway. And so let's start fixing something. For example, this on line 263 we have to add spaces, so let's open that. We go to the line, we see that space is missing. We run pylint again and check that the problem is not longer there. So we have one warning less. So now if you do git diff, we can see that we did one change. So now we do git add and the file will change it. This is one way. We do git add and then we do git commit. I will do this right now to show you, and then I will do it the other way. Like you can do it like that, or you can do git add and then git commit. It's just, and I will write a description, something like fixed pylint warning. What you do is you write a small description of the commit on the first line, less than 80 characters. And if you need to specify something more, you leave an empty line and write the description there. This is a small fix, but just to show you, I will write something. Add spaces between equal and left and right side. Now we write and quit our editor, and the commit is there. Now we have the commit on our local repository. What we will need to do is do git push origin master. This will push the changes to our GitHub repository, the one from where we cloned the code. So with push, just to be sure, we go to our repository, we refresh, and we see the change. We can check the commit, the changes. And what we can do now is click here. Let me show you again because I did it too fast. And click on pull request. What GitHub will do is we'll check all the changes we did on our repository compared to the main repository from where we forked, and it will send a request to the users of that repository to incorporate those changes on the main repository. So here it says you're asking Emesene to pull one commit into Emesene master from Mariano Guerra master. So I will say my first fix. This is the commit message we got, and you can add something more like hi, I'm a new user, this is my first contribution to Emesene, please be nice. Of course we are nice, you don't have to write that, but like if you're new, you can say just correct me so I can learn or stuff like that. And then you send the pull request. So it's like this. Of course you won't see this, but this is because I'm a user from the repository, so I can merge the request. But you will wait and you will get a notification. For example, this will be done by someone from the repository, like you won't be able to do this. But if I do a merge, you will see, like it will say that it was closed. And if you go to Emesene/Emesene, you can see that the pull request was merged, and you can see the commit there. So now you have a change on Emesene/Emesene. From time to time, before you start working on new stuff, from time to time what I recommend is you do this: git add, git remote add Emesene. Oops. With this, you will see that I have origin where I pushed before. Let me see. I said push my changes to the repository called origin, that is this. It's just an alias to the branch master. And now I added a new remote called Emesene that has the path of that repository. So now what I can do is git pull Emesene master. That means I'm bringing the changes that were done between when I did the clone and now, so I can start working on stuff without being back of the changes made to the main repository. I recommend you to do this before doing some changes, because if not you will have some nice conflicts committing and pulling and pushing. So just to be sure, just pull before you start working on something. So we just clone the repository, make a small change with piling, made a pull request, and it was accepted. Of course, it was accepted by me. You will have to wait for someone else to do the merge, or you may get some comments like this should be done in this other way, or you should do this. This is done this way. Don't feel bad. We will do that just to make you improve. Like the first times until you get used to how things are done, we will do some comments on your code so you learn how we do stuff, and with that you will improve as a coder. So we did all the cycle. So now you should be able to start contributing to MSN. See you on the next screencast.